I'm back. Bonjour. Comment allez-vous? How are you? It's been a long time, a little over a month, and I have been in France for about 3 weeks. Total dream trip, and we're back. I'm finally over jet lag and ready to share some delights of the bite from France. I'm super excited. So many things that I could choose, but I'm starting with something kind of simple because I am still a little bit tired. And honestly, this was such a cool experience. We got to go to a chateau in the Burgundy region. We were in a town called Beaune, and just outside of there, we went to visit a real live count. He is the 26th generation in his family living in the Chateau de GRUYÈRE. And we got to get a tour of his home. So I'll show you a beautiful picture. Actually, I have a little postcard of it. And this section right here, you guys, was built in 1190. This is the main chateau. His family, his wife and 3 little boys live there currently. You can go there. Anybody can go there, make an appointment, and you can get a tour of this place from the count. And then these are their vineyards right here in front. Amongst many other places they have their vines growing, but they make wine and it's fabulous. And with the wine, the count served us. It was super cute. He had a little timer and he had to leave the tour for a minute to go to his kitchen and check on the Cheese Gougères. Look at those. That's what I'm making today. And they're super simple. If you've ever heard of pâte à choux or choux pastry, it's basically a puff. And a lot of times you've probably had cream puffs. I know everybody that shops at Costco has probably experienced the cream puffs. That's essentially what we're making, but they're from scratch and they're filled with Gruyère cheese and they're divine, especially with some wine. So I'm whipping up some of these bad boys today. And they're actually quite simple. They seem really difficult if you've never made them before, but they're not. There's just a few little tricks about making this dough. And if you do it by hand, you gotta have some muscle, but other than that, you can do it in a mixer. And it's just all about incorporating the eggs one at a time till they're thoroughly mixed. And I'll show you a few tricks of things to look for. But I've got everything back here. Flour, it's milk and water that I already have pre-measured, some salt, pepper, a pinch of nutmeg because it's a savory, it's cheese, some butter, eggs, and then the grated Gruyère cheese. I've got some wine waiting because I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm gonna have a little test taste. And then we also got a bottle from the winery that we brought home and the count signed it. I'm not gonna open it today because it's real special, but a little tidbit of information for you wine novices. I don't really know that much about wine, but something I learned in Burgundy, you don't ask what kind of grape it is, because if it's white, it's Chardonnay. And if it's red, it's a Pinot Noir. That's the only 2 grapes they officially by the whatever official governmental stuff they have that like keeps track of all this. That's the kind of grapes they grow in Burgundy. So if it's white, it's a Chardonnay, and if it's red, it's a Pinot Noir. So we actually got a white that's a Chardonnay. It's just delicious, super, super yummy. I'm so excited though to share this recipe with you. And just as the weeks go by, I'll slowly but surely be doing a few more little France-inspired things. But this is the one we're getting started with. So let's go. All right, so I've got my 1/2 cup water, 1/2 cup milk, and 1 stick of unsalted butter with a large pinch of salt going, bringing it to a boil. And once it's boiling, which is almost there, you dump in the flour, which is, how much flour? Is it a 1/2 cup? No, it's 1 cup of all-purpose flour. So we've got bubbles everywhere. I'm going, and you turn the heat down. Dump this all in at once, and then the workout begins. You start to stir it. And you're gonna stir it for about 2 minutes. You're looking for the dough to form and then also to get kind of dry and start to pull away from the edges. So my dough, if you can see, it's kind of already in a ball, but you want it to really get dried out and all incorporated. Still can see some white in there. So anyways, we'll do this step and then I'm going to be transferring this. I'm going to do it with my mixer. It'll be way too long if I do it by hand for you guys to watch. But you can do it by hand when you do the part where you add the eggs. So that will be next. So here's what my dough looks like. It's like this kind of glossy ball. I'm going to transfer this into my mixer and then let it cool for about a minute before I start adding my eggs. So that's the next step here. It's almost like Play-Doh, you guys. It really does kind of stick together. and give it a minute, and then we'll be adding the eggs. Okay, I haven't turned my mixer on, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this, but I crack my egg one at a time into a separate bowl. And one of the tricks with a pâte à choux is that you really want to let each egg incorporate completely before you add the next one. That's probably one of the biggest tricks. So while that's going, I'll crack my next egg. By doing it in a separate bowl, see there's a tiny shell. You're able to avoid getting any shells in your dough, which is kind of important. So that looks pretty coordinated. Now hopefully you guys can see some of this. I'll go with egg number 2, and there's 4 eggs. I will probably just show you what it looks like once I get all the eggs coordinated, so you don't have to see each one go. It's a little bit boring, but you get the idea. Okay, my eggs are all incorporated, and you guys, this was a test they taught us in culinary school when we made these. Take a bit of the dough, pinch it between your fingers, and go like this. And if it makes a nice, like it sticks together and kind of drags, you know your dough is ready to roll. So the next step, because these are cheese gougères or cheese puffs, we're going to add the cheese, a little bit of fresh ground pepper, and just a pinch of nutmeg, and we'll whip that together. So I'll just go right ahead, add my cheese. I measured my cheese out because I happen to have a scale. If you don't, it tells you it's about a cup of cheese or so, a little bit more. And Gruyere, you don't want to skimp on the cheese with this one. It's pricey, but this is a special occasion thing. Probably not something you're going to make for your kids after school. Maybe you would. Lucky kids if you do. So that'll go. We'll get the pepper and nutmeg in, and then piping is the next part. See you in a sec. Okay, next step is getting all your dough into a piping bag. Now, I know a lot of people probably don't have piping bags, so just to show you that it can totally be done this way, I'm using a Ziploc, a gallon-sized Ziploc. I just folded the top kind of over so it's got that top edge over, and I'm going to take my dough. I'm going to set this kind of on the counter like so with an opening. The nice thing is the dough is really kind of sticky, like to itself, so it almost forms a ball all on its own. I'm going to plop it down in there as gently as I can. Taking aim. Did pretty okay. I'll get the rest of this in just a second. And then from underneath, pull it up like this. And then I'm going to work it down to a corner, and I'm going to snip off the corner. They say recommending that you want to use about a 1/2 inch piping tip. So if you do have a piping bag with the little metal tips, go ahead and do that. It's great, but you just want to have so it's kind of a round circle. So all you do is you take the corner, you make an even snip, and then you can pipe it right onto my little baking sheets I've got over there, lined with parchment. If you don't have parchment, don't freak out. You can buy some, or you can just use a little spray. It's just kind of to help it so they don't stick, but you can get them off if you don't have that. So that's the next step, is going to be sealing up the bag, making a tip, and doing some piping. I'm super excited. All right, guys, you can see I've puffed my puffs. So it's real simple, about a 1 inch diameter, maybe a little bit more, and you just kind of coil around and then pull up. I'm going to come back and kind of lightly tap down those little points so they don't burn in the oven. But it's like coiling up a snake or frosting. And I don't know if I made these too far apart, but I have some extra dough. I'll make more. But then with a little thing of water, you just kind of tap your finger on that. You go down and just kind of like, so your dough doesn't stick. You'll just kind of lightly tap down those little points. Oh, my finger's not sticking at all, but maybe because I did wet it. So you don't want to like crush any air, but just tap those little points down. And we're gonna pop these bad boys in a 400-degree oven, so nice and hot, for about how many minutes? 22 minutes, so a little bit of time. And while these guys go, I'll pipe out the next little batch, because I have some more. They said 2 inches apart, but I didn't want to have them be too close, so I made some space. But anyways, here we go. Cheese puffs are coming. Can't wait. Almost forgot. Top them with a little more cheese before you pop them in the oven. So I pre-grated my Gruyere. I'm losing a lot on the sides, but that'll go in my mouth. A bounty is before you, is before me and my filmmaker. or filmmaker, cameraman. You guys, it smells really good in here. I don't mean to make you jealous, but OMG. Okay, so these little puffs of air, they're just like heaven. They're all warm, just like they were when we were at the Chateau de Rouy with the Count. So zoom in here. I'm gonna cut this little guy open just so you can kind of see. Look at the light airiness, like it's just pillowy in there. So this is when, like if you didn't add cheese, this is where you'd make a cream puff because they're really light and they have these big pockets. In the bottom, you just poke a little hole and then you'd use your little piping bag and you'd pipe in some cream and then boom, cream puffs. But these are cheesy goodness. So I wanted to make these because we had such a wonderful experience wine tasting at this place and getting to experience this wonderful, like real French Burgundian culture, but also because honestly, these are really easy to make. I whip these things up, I'd say in 45 minutes start to finish, and it's a 22-minute baking time. It's really easy. You can totally do it. Even if you don't have a mixer, you just mix by hand. So remember that eggs incorporating is the important part, but most important, test tasting. So I do have some wine. We got a bottle real quick from, zoom in real quick here, from the Count. He signed it for us, but it's really special and I didn't want to open it on a Wednesday afternoon because I don't know. But I opened our wine club wine, which is delicious. BUNNELL family cellars. Check them out if you don't know about them. So it's a delicious red blend, but here we go. You hear the crunch of the cheese. Scott's shaking, yes. Hurry up. You guys, they're light. They're pillowy. They're like little cheese air puffs. You've got to try this recipe. And if you're not old enough to drink, don't do it. But if you are, glass of wine. It's the delight of the bite. Cheese and wine. Is there anything better? Well, there's plenty of things because I love so many food things, but this is a winner. Make them for your kids, make them for company. You can make them, freeze them, and then actually pop them in a 350-degree oven. That's the instructions that the Count gave us because that's his recipe card he printed up for all of his visitors. And in like 5 to 10 minutes, you can re-crisp them and they're ready to roll. So I actually could freeze these. We're probably gonna end up eating them though. They're that good. Enjoy. Thanks for giving me some time off and all the encouragement to come back and more to come. Not necessarily all French because there's so much good food out there to talk about, but I'm really excited for this fall. And thanks again so much for watching, everybody that's been supporting me. Here's to Tyler and all his friends at Belmont, by the way. Thanks for getting me more supporters, Ty. Hi, gals and guys. And subscribe, share, Delight of the Bite on YouTube. Tell all your friends about it. Thank you so much for watching. And au revoir. Till next time. There you go. And eating.